All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to week 6 of the college football season. I'm your host, Ethan, my right hand man, Joe. We are Booth Review. We're going to get into some review on week 6 upsets in the top 5 of college football. We'll stir up a little bit of bracket. Let's get Joe's thoughts on week 6.
Um, First, let's point out the point system predictions. Um, I got a point. Auburn only lost by 18 instead of 24 to Georgia. Neither one of our predictions hit. Ohio State turned the ball over 2 times. I stopped caring about the rest of it because I was like, oh, they got to hit all of these things. And Missouri couldn't even kick more than one field goal. So
Yeah, they should have tried for more the way the game was shaping out. They could have put more points on the board than what they
I'm
did.
sit I'm sitting there. Saturday was a busy day. Friday was a pretty busy day, and so was Sunday. So Saturday, I get up, I start cleaning the house, getting ready for my daughter's birthday party. By the time I'm done with that, I've got a little bit of time. I start watching the Texas A&M Missouri game, and it was over as soon as it started. I was like, "Holy crap! Like this game's not even worth watching. It wasn't even on my radar to watch. I just happened to sit down on the nice couch, watch the game. I was like, this is boring. Texas A&M is throttling Missouri. I was like, this probably puts Missouri out of the playoff contention. And then I thought about it for a second. There is only one undefeated team left in the SEC. One.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll cross that bridge when we get ready to talk about it because I do want to talk about the 12 undefeated teams here in a minute. But my day was pretty busy, so I didn't get to watch a whole lot of football. I watched Ohio State throttle Iowa, and then I was actually we're having my daughter's birthday party during the Alabama Vendit game, and I had the Arkansas Tennessee game in the back living room, Alabama game in the front living room, and I hear from the back living room somebody goes, "Alabama lost to Vanderbilt." I go, "What?" And I wasn't watching this, so I was pretty upset that I didn't even watch that go and happen. I did catch the glimpse of that like unsportsmanlike conduct at the end of the game by 13 of Alabama. So like crazy
So,
stuff.
and with that also came an upset with Arkansas beating Tennessee.
The SEC
And
is wide open.
well, let's highlight this is the first time in Vanderbilt history that
To be the top 5 team.
they beat a top 5 team.
I've got that right in my notes.
I think even possibly a top 10 team if I'm not mistaken.
I
But
know
top
that
5
on
is
the
insane.
broadcast that did specify top 5. And
And they beat the number 1 team to narrow that down. They
right,
beat the number
right,
1 team at the time.
number
So
1 team. They have a lot of defensive problems,
the
and
Vanderbilt fans storm the field, tear down the goalpost, and take it all the way through downtown.
which is
And
crazy because here's the thing: it's Nashville. Nashville is one of those hubs that's big about bachelorettes and bachelor parties. You know how many people were like, "What the hell's going on?" As Vandy just marching down the street. Like all I seen on Twitter was like, "Where's the goalpost? Where's the goalpost? Where's the goalpost?"
and Arkansas, all they really did, I'm pretty sure, was storm the field.
I mean,
But
Arkansas is probably better team.
they both received fines.
Um, yeah, the NCAA is cracking down on it, and a lot of schools just
No, no,
don't
no.
care.
The SEC fined
Well,
them. They didn't get fined by the NCAA.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out the NCAA does find them later, but they're cracking down on it because they want to prevent injuries from happening. I think it's related to a basketball situation. A player on a tournament team was knocked over and had a thigh bruise or something, and it affected him in the next game because of
Mm.
a storming. So,
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I hope these schools are more than willing to pay these fines and
um,
not say anything to their students, especially Vanderbilt, because
oh, for sure.
you got to let your students celebrate.
Did you see the quote they played too as they were storming it? They encouraged it. As the fans were storming the field, they played the Nick Saban quote, everywhere's tough to play in the SEC except
For
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt, you got more
I was like,
fans than they
wow,
do.
like like come
Yeah,
on now.
yeah, and I mean that's like a historic that will go down in Vanderbilt history forever.
And here's the thing. Another thing with the field storming, like you got to remember that Cal banned storming, or maybe it was Cal that scored against the team that was storming the field on them through the band and everything. So like it's been
Yeah.
I mean that's 30, 40 years ago. But as those games are going, another thing that was interesting to me is Miami in another tight one against Cal, lost by a point. Um, and I think Cal's other loss, don't quote me, but I think it was Florida State.
I believe you're correct.
Which I don't know how that looks for Miami
I
getting ninth
mean,
Florida State win.
it probably
But
doesn't it probably doesn't look too good, but at the same time they are I mean, they're 6-0 and with the SEC beating up on each other right now, uh I don't think it'll affect them as much as it normally would. As
so
long as they continue to stay undefeated for just a little bit longer.
I'm glad you mentioned undefeated teams. There are 12 undefeated teams right now.
One
So
in the SEC,
and there's four in the Big Ten, two
two in the ACC.
two in the ACC, two in the Big 12, and the rest are G5 schools. Um,
Two are service academies.
two are service academies, which brings me to a question. Let's go through these schedules real quick. Army, tell me when you think they get their first loss. UAB. I'm just gonna go through it quickly. You
Yeah.
say stop when you think they lose. UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, North Texas, Notre Dame, UTSA,
Loss. Loss.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So they go to November 3rd and lose to Notre Dame. By the way, for reference, the first official playoff brackets come out November 5th. So you're telling me Notre Dame or Army is going to be 8-0 on that first ranking? All right.
Looks good.
Let's look at
Now,
BYU.
I say it's a loss, but Notre Dame has dropped a game they shouldn't have dropped before this year.
Oh, I'm well aware. If they get through that Notre Dame game, they're undefeated. However, I still don't know if they make the playoffs for a couple reasons, and we'll get to that when I get into my playoff ranking. BYU, Arizona, Oklahoma State, UCF, Utah, Kansas, Arizona State, Houston.
I'm thinking, if not Notre Dame, BYU.
No, this is no. This is BYU's remaining schedule because they're the undefeated one of the undefeated teams in the Big 12. Arizona, Oklahoma State, UCF, Utah, Kansas, Arizona State, or Houston.
Undefeated.
Do you think BYU goes undefeated into the Big 12 championship?
I mean, unless the only thing I hear there is maybe if Oklahoma State has one of their Hail Mary games where they just pull one out of their butt for the season.
So I could see them losing to Oklahoma State and Utah. So again, on November 5th, Utah or BYU could be an undefeated team on that first playoff rank. Let's look at Indiana Hoosiers' remaining schedule. Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue.
I mean, definitely Ohio State. But I don't know. Michigan or Washington could definitely probably get it done.
Nebraska can get it done. Like all of these games, except for maybe Ohio State, are winnable. Um, and that's probably my bias speaking. But we also did just 35-7 Iowa. and Iowa's always been a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Mind you, the team I think the best Big 12 team right now barely beat Iowa. So, but anyway, it said they beat Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, which are all winnable games. But October 19th against Nebraska, that's probably the game I think they drop. Because that's who Rutgers just lost to, and Rutgers was an undefeated team going into this week too. Um, so they're possibly undefeated on November 5th. All right, let's look at Iowa State, West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech, Kansas, Cincinnati, Utah, and Kansas State.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
The West Virginia game is at West Virginia.
Utah.
Yeah, so they're probably sitting at undefeated on November 5th ranking.
Yeah, Utah would be.
But but that's all dependent on this weekend against West Virginia. West Virginia is a tough out at home. We're gonna look at an independent school, Liberty. They play Florida International, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee, Massachusetts, Western Kentucky, and Sam Houston.
That's they're a
It's
G
all
five, aren't they?
they're a G5 school, but where did they lose? They're a pretty good squad. They're returning a lot of people from last year, and I'm pretty sure they lost one game, if not any.
What G5 are they in?
American.
Who else
They,
is in the American that's in that would
Conference
possibly
USA.
a Conference
They're
USA?
Conference USA.
Who else is in Conference USA? I should have known when you say Kennesaw State. Uh, who else is in Conference USA that would possibly make a conference game, title game?
Um, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Florida International, Jacksonville State, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, Kennesaw State, New Mexico State, and Utah. That's their conference.
No, who is it
That's
looking like they're gonna play for the title?
probably Sam Houston, maybe Western Kentucky.
Okay,
So what they maybe go make it
yeah,
into
they'll probably be
the one.
Conference U. They'll probably be Conference USA champions,
Yeah, we're looking at 14-0. So
but I really don't see them getting in if Army wins the American.
you're missing a whole team, and we'll get to it. Miami, they have Louisville. They have a bye this week. Then they play Louisville, Florida State, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse.
And they don't
And
have a
they're
good
probably
schedule at
gonna,
all.
and then they'll probably play Clemson for the ACC championship.
Hmm. Miami will win the ACC.
So you think they're gonna be undefeated, go playoff then?
I don't know about undefeated, but they'll win the ACC. I just don't know who they would. I couldn't tell you who they would drop a game to, but I just feel like they'll
Here,
have a bad. I
here,
feel like they'll
here's
have a bad
here's the
game and
thing.
they'll drop one.
Here's the thing with Miami, and it's gonna be true for all teams in Florida right now. Back-to-back hurricanes are going to displace these teams, so now they're out of their elements. They're not where they want to be, and their home games may be changed. So Mother Nature might screw those teams over, and I could see Miami dropping a game because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I do see them dropping a game. I don't see them going undefeated, but I think they will win the ACC. Whatever they drop, it will not drop them out of the title race. Um, I
Um,
mean, my best guess would either be they lose to Syracuse
or
or they
Louisville.
lose. I'd say Duke.
I think Louisville could get them, especially because the Hurricanes going to hit Thursday of this week, and then they're going to be displaced for a week. It's going to be at Louisville, which honestly, though, it could be in their benefit because they could go ahead and evacuate to Louisville and stay there
Yeah,
until the Louisville game. But
yeah.
like it's still like I don't know if you've traveled a lot. Like traveling sucks. um,
Let me see.
all right. So now we're looking at Navy. Um, Navy plays Charlotte, Notre Dame, Rice, South Florida, Tulane, East Carolina, and Army.
We'll lose to Army.
Do you think they beat Notre Dame?
Oh, they play Notre Dame too?
They played Notre Dame October 26th.
All service academies play Notre Dame.
They both play Notre Dame, and honestly, they could
I
Notre Dame could lose both those games, and we
I'm
could
gonna
look at
say
an Army Navy undefeated game.
I just feel like if I feel like if they're gonna drop one, they're gonna drop one to Army. I think Army's a better team than Navy.
Right. So I mean, interesting.
Yeah, that's it's tough. I mean it's cool that that's gonna come down to that between those two. For sure.
All right. Next undefeated team is Ohio State. This weekend, we play number 3 Oregon at Oregon.
Okay.
So if we're gonna drop a game, that's probably the game I'm thinking. But then we play Nebraska at home. Nebraska's gonna be a tough out. They've been showing that they're a tough team. After that, then we go back on the road to Penn State. A 3-game stretch right there.
Okay.
Then we play at home versus Purdue, at Northwestern on November 14th.
Hmm.
The weather will be cold as balls on that November 16th. Then we come back home, play an Indiana team who we discussed could potentially be undefeated in that game. And then, of course, we got the big game against Michigan, November 30th at home. So, I mean,
If Ohio State is gonna drop a game,
it's going to be
possibly
it's
I'm
going
gonna
to
say
be Oregon,
possibly
Nebraska, or
two.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Oregon or Penn State. I think y'all beat Nebraska. But Oregon or Penn State.
I think we beat Nebraska too, but I could also see the situation where we get in a tough fight against Oregon. We're a little banged up, but we do get a bye between the Oregon Nebraska game. However, still might be banged up, barely coming off that high of Oregon. Now we're playing Nebraska at home, and we're looking ahead to a Penn State team that's probably themselves still undefeated. Um, Oregon, similar situations. If they get out of this weekend undefeated, I think they run the table, and they're undefeated into the Big Ten championship game. And then in Indianapolis, it's probably Oregon, Ohio State, and they probably lose that second. But they play Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington. Um, I think Saturday would be a real telling on how good they actually are. But with that being said, if you're thinking that Oregon is the third best team, maybe first or second best team in the nation going into this weekend, keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head real quick.
So real
Penn
fast, I just want to touch on. We can do it after you. You're probably not done with the undefeated teams, are you?
We got Penn State, Pitt, and Oregon, or Texas. 3 teams.
Okay, we'll hit those three teams just a second. After that, I would like to touch on the Vanderbilt Alabama game, uh, and just see where possibly what possibly went wrong for Alabama because it doesn't look like a lot. It literally just looks like Vanderbilt outplayed them. But we'll touch on that in just a second.
Yeah. Um, there's a few things I want to touch on too before we get into the games that are happening this weekend. Um, Penn State plays USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland.
I can see
Again,
them losing to USC.
that's this weekend,
I can
and
see them losing to USC.
it's at USC.
Yeah, I the way Lincoln Riley runs his offense is Penn
And their
State is going
defense
to
is
have a hard
their defense
nosed
is improved.
defense.
Penn
Yeah,
State's always got a hard nosed defense,
yes,
but
but like you're talking at USC against the Lincoln Riley offense.
here's the deal
You
with that.
you have to
I
be you have
like
to play
Lincoln
almost
Riley.
flawless.
I like Lincoln Riley. I think they're good, but who is the better offensive coach in your mind, Lincoln Riley or Ryan Day? because they're 1A, 1B in my opinion. But here's the thing: they've also got Chip Kelly this year out of Ohio State. So Penn State's probably been looking forward to a heavy offensive ran game, and USC is going to be a marker that be like, yeah, our defense is ready for that Ohio State team, or no, it's not. So it is a good matchup for
Yeah.
them.
I just think
It,
I just think Lincoln Riley is such a good um offensive coordinator that he knows how to take down good defensive teams.
yeah.
It's just a
Um,
matter of if his defense can keep up with their offense, and they have this year so far. So
and let's not get it twisted. Their losses aren't that bad.
no,
I don't know who they
I
lost
mean,
to.
just imagine if Caleb Williams had the defense they have this year.
They might have been looking at a national championship run, but they did lose to Minnesota this week. So like, I can almost forgive the Michigan loss, even though Michigan lost this week too. But Minnesota's not.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough loss,
But
but
it was at Minnesota, and I don't know what the weather was like this weekend, but I'm sure it was a lot colder than what they're used to in California.
yeah, 100%. But also, like, USC is going to drop games they should not drop. But at the same time,
Sounds like a
that
UU fan
offense,
speaking from experience.
exactly, that offense is going to win games they shouldn't freaking win.
True. Um,
It's just, that's personally why I didn't like Lincoln Riley as a head coach, because he is a good offensive coordinator. But the way he coaches is more of a coordinator role, and
yeah,
he loses games he should not lose.
right. So last two, Pitt plays California, Syracuse, SMU, Virginia, Clemson, Louisville, Boston College. They might lose to Syracuse, but they're probably looking at dropping one, maybe two in that November 16th and November 30th run with Clemson, Louisville, and Boston College. You agree?
Yeah.
Here is the real kicker, and this is going to determine if the SEC gets any undefeated teams this year. Uh,
Nope.
this weekend, obviously, Red River rivalry. I know who you're rooting for, and honestly, this is the first weekend in like 3 years I won't have my kids, and I'm like, man, I should have got tickets, but I digress. Oklahoma, they play Oklahoma, and then they play Georgia, and then here's the scary part: they play Oklahoma, Georgia, then Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt Lightning will not strike twice.
It's at Vanderbilt. Are you sure?
Lightning will
We're gonna be
not
on the
strike
Bigtron.
twice.
We're gonna be on the Bigtron. They're gonna put us up there. Lightning won't strike twice on Vanderbilt. I'm gonna tag
Lightning
every Vanderbilt student I can find on Twitter. Be like, watch this, watch
Lightning
this.
will not strike twice. Quinn Ewers will be back in Texas.
He's gonna be
Before
back this week, isn't he?
they'll probably play him against Oklahoma. I doubt, because first off, his injury is not even that serious from what they're saying.
Yeah, that's why I was like, they sat
They're
him to
play, yeah,
play
they're
this game.
they're healing him so he can play in this game and the Georgia game. And they're playing teams that they know they're going to beat no matter what quarterback's in. So they're letting Arch get his playing time, get him learn the feel for him for next year.
Right.
And it's working. It's what they're doing is working. They know what they're doing, and he's going to be back. If they don't play him in the Red River game, then it is more
Then
serious than
probably
what they're saying.
yeah. So let's quickly finish out their schedule. After Vanderbilt, they play Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M.
If they
I can see
make it,
Texas A&M could definitely be an interesting game to watch, depending on how they
if
play.
they make it past the Vanderbilt game, they will go undefeated.
Right. Um,
If they
you
make
wanted
it
to talk
to
about
if they make it to the Vanderbilt game, they will go undefeated.
right. So let's talk about that Alabama and Vanderbilt game because you wanted to touch back on it.
Alabama Vanderbilt. So before halftime, this game is 23-14 in the
Yes,
way of Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt stayed on top the entire time. Not once, unless pretty sure Vanderbilt scored first, didn't they?
Yeah, they didn't give up the lead, and they
Yeah,
scored
they
like top it off.
against the number one team, they didn't trail one time.
So here you wanted to know what happened in that game. The reason
So
why they lost, and here's the thing.
I'm about
Since
to tell you why they
halftime,
lost.
no, well, I'm gonna tell you too. At, at halftime of the Georgia game and the whole Vanderbilt game, they've given up almost 800 yards of total offense and 67 points on defense. The only reason they're any good is their quarterback Jalen Milroe in the offense. I mean, Ryan Williams on the outside is a monster, but Jalen Milroe gets hurt, that team's nothing. They'll lose 3 or 4 more games if he gets hurt.
So passing wise, Vanderbilt 252 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay. Alabama. Oh, and we'll just touch um uh, the Vanderbilt's quarterback. Okay, 16 for 20. He only missed 4 throws. Okay, Jalen Milroe, once again, not bad. 18 for 24, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 310 yards. And they both averaged about 12, 13 yards a throw.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Now, here's
yeah,
where things went wrong. Alabama defense gave up 166 rushing yards. Vanderbilt defense only gave up 84.
right. And, and like I said, Alabama's defense is bad. I was listening to Joel Klatt. I'm not gonna lie. His statement was, "You're looking at a Lincoln Riley team with this Alabama team because they'll have the offense to compete with anybody, but their defense is so bad they won't win it."
Yeah.
With that being said, I do want to go ahead and tell you my playoff brackets as of today. I've got
Well,
Texas at 1. They still have the best team in the nation,
yeah.
with the best win so far. However, that's probably going to change this week, because whoever wins the Ohio State Oregon game will then now have the best win in the nation. So I do have Ohio State at 2. Miami is still undefeated, so I do have them at 3, and I agree with you. They're probably going to win the ACC, and the top 4 teams are all going to win their conference, whether they're top 4 teams or not. That's what it has to be. And then Iowa State, I do have as a Big 12 champion right now. They're just keep rolling, and Utah's sputtering. Um, and then at 5, I have Oregon. At 6, I have Alabama. 7 is Clemson, and 8 is Utah. And I do have 5, 6, 7, and 8 as the runner-ups for their conference, just in different orders. And then I do have Penn State at 9, Notre Dame at 10, Georgia at 11, and Boise State at 12.
So I'm looking at the AP top 25.
Sure, sure, sure. Let's look.
Can you answer me this? Okay, Texas and Ohio State, 1 and 2, they should be. Oregon's number 3. Penn
Penn State's
State's number 4. Georgia's sitting at number 5.
Georgia should not be at 5. It should be Miami at 5. But they're counting how you win versus when you lost. So
At,
it should honestly be Miami at 5, Alabama at 6, Georgia at 7. Like
I get
that's
they're counting how you win, but their only loss is to Alabama. They should
which
not be. Granted, I don't care who Alabama lost to. They
right.
should not be above Alabama if Alabama beat them.
And I don't like the AP poll. It's going to be interesting. The head-to-head will matter when we get to the
The
playoff
coaches
polls on
poll is
November 5th.
worse. The coaches poll has Georgia at 4.
Yeah, I, it's ESPN. I don't care what ESPN says. Uh, honestly, they're SEC homers, so they're going to
I
overevaluate
just think
SEC teams.
a
Like,
week
why
after,
is Tennessee still at 8? Why is Ole Miss at 9? Why aren't some of these Iowa States, BYU's?
well, Tennessee
Hell,
dropped 4 spots after their loss.
and Alabama dropped 6. I get it. Um,
But Georgia should drop until they win another game and have a better record than Alabama. They're sitting the same record, and the team that beat them just lost a terrible game. They should
right.
not be above them.
Like even Indiana at 6-0 is sitting at 18.
Yeah, it's always freaking like that with the AP poll just because the conference they're in and their strength of schedule and
Right. And I don't know that Indiana's played anybody of significance, but they will. Um,
yeah.
so here's the point I was trying to drive home. We were talking about Army, Navy, and Liberty. All
Mhm.
three of them great teams undefeated right now. They are not the best G5 school. It's Boise State. Boise
Boise
State,
State's sitting at 17.
right. Oregon, we agree. Top 5 team. Great team. We even think they could beat the number 2 team in the nation. I'd argue they could beat Texas too. Like they can beat anybody in the nation. Boise takes them to a 7-point game. And you want to know
Yeah.
why? Because of the man Gentry, their running back. Craziest stat. So 5 games have been played. Gentry has only played 16 quarters because he didn't play the second half of 2 games. He didn't play the second half of Portland State or Utah State. Okay, they're playing a G5 schedule. Mind you, they did already play Oregon. He has 1,031 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns rushing through 16 quarters. Derrick Henry was the last running back to win a Heisman, and I'll include even the playoff stats, which I don't think matter when it comes to Heisman voting. He had 2,219 rushing yards and 28 touchdowns through 15 games. Gentry is already at 1,016 rushing touchdowns. And if you think, oh, it's because he's playing G5 schools, against Oregon, 25 carries, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. Boise State plays Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose State, Wyoming, Oregon State. They will not drop another game this season.
No, they won't.
They lost 37-34 against Oregon. And if I remember correctly, Oregon had to hit a last second field goal from 25 yards away to win that game.
Man, they're
To
in
even but
second.
but
They're in second in the Mountain West just because San Jose State has played one more conference game than them.
it doesn't matter.
That's
They're going to
crazy.
win their conference. They're
No, they
going
will.
to
They'll
be
go
in.
undefeated the rest of the year.
Yeah. So, but here's the question: if Army or Navy, so I don't care about Liberty. They've played absolutely nobody. But if Army or Navy go undefeated and their win over Notre Dame, do they get in over Boise State, or do we get 2 G5 representatives this year?
I definitely think if one of these service academies go undefeated and they beat Notre Dame, they should definitely be in there. And Boise State, if they go undefeated, they should not be replaced. I definitely think we
So
should. If that
here's an even
is if
crazier
that is how
scenario.
it lines out, then we should get 2 G5 schools.
Here, here, here's an even crazier scenario. They both beat Notre Dame. Okay, so now the Notre Dame game looks iffy, but then they play the best college football game we've seen all season in the Army Navy game as both undefeated teams, and it comes down to the last possession. Do you
I don't
feel like
think
what? Do you feel like the winner gets in and the loser sits out now, or do we get 3 G5 schools?
oh they won't do 3. It'll definitely be winner gets in.
Why
It
not?
bet I mean
What
it better be winner gets in. Are they both in the American?
I think one of them is independent. I think it's Navy. I think
I
Navy's
don't
independent.
think so. There's only 3 independent teams, and that's Notre Dame, Washington State, and
Washington State and Oregon State are still considered in the Pac-12. We'll go standings. We'll go look at it real quick.
yeah,
American. They both are in the American.
yeah, the
Is the
winner.
American
Yeah,
So does the American play a conference championship? And if
Pretty
they do
sure.
play a and if they do play a conference championship,
Oh
how does the Army Navy game look? So are they gonna play
no,
back-to-back weeks?
I don't think they do. I think they do it like how the Big 12 used to do it.
So that would be the conference championship game? But even if they
Basically,
say let's say, like, we're a little off here because we should know the answer to this question if we're gonna have a podcast on it. Um,
it's the
they
American League. Okay,
they Army
nobody.
say Navy wins the Army Navy game. Then
If you find that.
they go into a conference game and Army beats Navy. So now they both have one loss and it's to each other in back-to-back weeks. I want to see an Army team play against an Alabama in the first round of the playoffs.
I do too, but if it goes to that extent, I feel like they'll be left out, and Boise State will be the only one that gets in. If it goes to that extent,
I, I'm
but if it,
sorry, but unless Oregon looks real bad for the rest of the season, Boise State gets in. And
oh
I'm sorry,
yeah,
but
I think Boise State should get in no matter what. How the Army Navy shit happens.
yeah. So, but that's the thing. We talked about last week how the SEC and Big Ten want four school representatives. There might not be a single undefeated team in either one of those conferences. Granted, they beat each other,
Oh
but Alabama just lost to Vanderbilt. Georgia
yeah.
lost to Alabama.
For reference, the independents are Notre Dame, UConn, and UMass.
Um, with that being said, just a little update. I did see this Heisman power ranking. Gentry running back Boise State number 1, Travis Hunter number 2, Cam Ward 3, Milrow 4, Sanders is 5, Klubnik from is 6, Beck is 7, Gabriel is 8, Dart is 9, and yours is 10. Right now, the first 4 are the only ones that matter to me in that race. Those are the only ones that I think have a shot at
And I think with how long Ewers has sat out, he will not be able to climb fast enough,
winning.
no matter what type
Yeah.
of performance he puts on.
But for me, I'd like to see Gentry or Hunter win it. Obviously, I want to see Hunter win it because we have our bet, and if anybody else wins it, I lose. But Gentry, like, bro is going off.
Yeah, Gentry would be a good one. But I do not. I will say I did pick Cam Ward to win it. And of course, with my luck, I pick him to win it, and then now they're playing really tight games where he doesn't look as amazing as he used to. That's just I hate my life. But I think it would be cool to see a quarterback not get it because it's like a quarterback award when I think
And,
it should just be the best player of the year award.
it, and honestly, it's Gentry right now. Like, he is the most impactful player on any team right now.
I saw a
And that's
run.
with Travis Hunter being a two-way player.
I saw a run from him from this past week. It was like almost a Marshawn Lynch beastquake run.
Oh, like,
Not quite the magnitude, but that's not his fault. A lot of people were all the way across the field, and he's just really fast.
I love that video too, though. But so with that being said, I think there's only 4 games that are worth watching and that just stuck out to me. Alabama, South Carolina. How does Alabama bounce back? South Carolina again, dark horse in that SEC, which is wide open right now. That's 11 o'clock.
Uh, I think they win it, but it's not like a dominant like we're pissed off win. It's a crap. We gotta win this, or what are we doing?
They're at home, so I do agree with you. Red River rivalry, Texas OU, 2:30.
Oklahoma.
Unfortunately, I think my son's soccer game is at that time.
I got drill.
I don't care what you have.
I was supposed to be at a wedding, but I got drill. So
And then the other 2 games are both at 6:30. I'm not gonna watch one of them because the other one's way more important. Oregon versus Ohio State at 6:30, and then Ole Miss versus LSU at 6:30. That Ohio State game,
mm,
I'm on that. The biggest game this weekend. I like OU Texas. Don't get me wrong, but the biggest rivalry in college football doesn't happen until November 30th. If it is not during rivalry, it cannot be the biggest rivalry in college football.
Texas
Should be.
Oklahoma is the biggest rivalry in
No,
college
it's
football.
not. No, it's
Yes, it
not.
is.
No, it's
Yes, it
not.
is.
No, it's not.
That you won't go to a more electrifying game than an OU Texas game.
Here's what I'll say. I think the atmosphere for the Texas OU game is electric.
Rivals a
Having
national championship, bro.
split down the middle, just straight up split down the middle, fans both sides. I want to experience it. I want to go out, see the Texas State Fair, then go to the game. I do. But I'm telling you right now, the hatred that is between those two teams is not as bad as it is against Ohio State, Michigan. And here's the thing. My mom's a Michigan fan. I'm an Ohio State fan. We will not talk to each other during that game except for to talk crap. And my mom, you've met her, doesn't talk crap.
So I will say this year, I see how that game holds weight, seeing what happened last year, you know?
But here's the
I
thing.
do see that. But it could be the greatest rivalry this year. This year.
No, it's
But
of all time.
you're talking
Of
all
all
time.
time. Ohio
Nothing
State, Michigan,
beats
all time. Look, we
nothing
can
beats
argue
OU
about this,
Texas.
and we're not going. Like, here, let me set you an
I'm
example.
telling you right now.
OU
I'm not gonna budge.
Texas, OU Texas, great atmosphere, on my bucket list to go to. But I don't think at 8, 17, 16, 17 years old, my mom going to an Ohio State Michigan game in Columbus wearing a Michigan uniform jersey and then taking it off because she is scared because there are people flipping cars over and setting them on fire because of a loss.
Why do you
That doesn't
think
happen.
why do you think OU Texas has to be played at a neutral field?
I'm telling you, it's played at a neutral field because Jerry Jones bought the rivalry basically and was like, "Hey, play here, play here." Let's
Listen,
be real.
it's played at the
Let's be
Cotton
real.
Bowl. It's played at the Cotton Bowl.
Yes, and that's amazing.
It has to be played at a neutral field. And granted, it probably adds to the atmosphere because they can split it down the middle, it being played at a neutral field. But just imagine if it's not, and OU goes into Texas, or Texas comes into Oklahoma. You think it's gonna be all roses and there's not gonna be any fights or anything? Texas pulls up to Norman, there's gonna be fights. There's gonna be drunk fraternity kids doing the horns down. Some 40-year-old man from Texas is gonna get offended, and things are gonna go down. It's vice versa. You go to Texas,
So,
and it's just gonna be the same way.
just a quick Google search. Number 1, Michigan versus Ohio State. Number 2, Alabama versus Auburn. Number 3, Army
think-
versus Navy.
I don't think
Number 4, Oklahoma versus
Alabama.
Texas.
I don't think Alabama Auburn's even that big of a rivalry anymore. The last
Um,
time that game was even relevant was what, 2016, 2015?
I think it's relevant every year. Honestly,
I
it's a good
don't.
game. I do have it in my
I
top
don't.
5. I do have it in my top 5. But just
I
a
don't
quick
think that
Google
game's
search,
relevant.
just to end that argument. Just to end that
What
argument.
what is it basing it? What is it basing it off of?
I don't know. Probably some kind of vote.
Probably. But anyways, I'm not budging.
It was based off of the NFL Network voting of staff and passions of fans and players alike.
Why
So
the fuck is the NFL involved in that? Anyways,
who
I
cares?
digress. I digress. Neither one of us is gonna budge.
Is there any? Is there? Yeah, we're not.
I
Um,
mean, granted, I will say the Army Navy game, in my opinion, should be the
it's the
greatest.
only game on that week usually.
Yeah, it literally
The
is.
best football game. It's like everybody watches it. Like
Yeah, technically,
if you would
it's
have been
not.
like the best college rivalry game is Army Navy, I'd be like, you're right, you're right. It's
Yeah,
the best.
I mean, then nobody's gonna say that because they're not gonna fight each other. But if you
They're not
think
gonna
about
fight
it,
each other because they don't want to get in trouble
exactly.
with their yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, like, and me being in the service, that's like the biggest debate day in,
Yeah.
day out.
Oh yeah.
It's
That
like
you go on Fort Sill, they have a Commanders Cup list on who's won it. Like
Yeah, it's
you're
like
not. It's
so technically that is the greatest rivalry of all time. But if you're talking straight from just a fan base perspective,
implication wise,
yes.
it probably is closer to Ohio State, Michigan, or Texas OU because of national championships. Um, just when was the last time OU won a national championship?
2001.
Okay, when was the last time
2001.
Texas won a national championship?
I don't know. I don't remember what year that was.
It was Vince
It's
Young, wasn't it? Like 06, 05?
yeah. I was gonna say, is
I
it in
think I
2000?
think I I think it was 05 because 06 and 07 Ohio State went to the national championship and played Florida and LSU.
Now, oh, when was it? They had the chance with Colt McCoy and they lost it.
12, Colt McCoy got hurt against Alabama.
Two,
Um,
2012?
or 11 maybe.
Yeah.
But
So Texas
Ohio
Texas
State,
was the closest.
to be fair, Ohio State won a national championship in 2014. Michigan won it last year. Asterisks. Um,
Yeah.
is there any other games you're interested in potentially watching this weekend?
Man, I'm be honest, the only game I'm probably gonna tune into is the Oklahoma Texas game. But let's see, I will have free time in the evening, so I will be looking at
Look at the 9:15 game on ESPN. I forgot to mention that one. That's probably a good one too.
Kansas State, Colorado. Ooh,
Yeah.
that is a good one. Okay, so probably the Kansas State, Colorado game.
Mhm.
Um, I'm probably not gonna watch Ohio State, Oregon. I don't even know if I have NBC. Um,
You have Peacock.
I Tennessee, Florida. I won't be watching Tennessee, Florida. That one's just gonna be stupid. I might
the
watch.
other
I'll watch
interesting one.
Boise. I'll watch Boise State, Hawaii, just because I have not watched Boise State this year, like an actual game. I've only seen highlights and stuff. I'll
Iowa
probably
State
catch a
versus
Boise
West
State game.
Virginia at 7 on Fox is also interesting. Just because of the team
Mm,
in West Virginia.
yeah. Let's
So with
see.
that being said, let's get ready to wrap this up. Unless
That'd be
there's
a close
something
game.
else you want to mention. Um, I've got my upset and I've got my bold prediction. Um,
Okay, go ahead.
I don't really want to steal it from you, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think OU beats Texas on that -14 spread.
You think that's an
I think OU beats Texas.
Oh, you think OU
Eh,
beats Texas? You're not gonna steal that from me. I'm not gonna pick OU on an upset, because especially
I
this
mean, I get
game.
it. I get it.
This game, I'm
I
not picking
do.
them because I don't want. I don't
I'll
want to
I'll
jinx
be
my
that
team.
guy. I'll be that
Yeah,
guy.
I
I
don't want to
even
jinx my
even
team.
if OU does lose, it's not by more than 14 points.
So I would say South Carolina, but at this point, would it even really be an upset?
What is the line? It's Alabama's
Alabama 21.
favored by 21. You picked South Carolina -9 against Ole Miss last week. Just a
I,
fair statement out there.
I know, but like after the performance Alabama just put up, would it really even be considered an upset this week? Back to back weeks? You know what I
Probably
mean?
not. Um,
Uh, I mean, I would
here's a
have to say USC.
USC beating Penn State.
Yeah, USC beating Penn State. The other one I would even think about is West Virginia.
I could see the West Virginia one too. I think USC is not a bad pick. It's only a 5.5 point spread, so it doesn't give you a lot of leeway to get that extra point. However, I just looking at spreads. Do you know what the second biggest spread is this week? I'll give you number one: Missouri 27.5 points over Massachusetts. Just without looking, can you guess who has the second biggest spread?
I was gonna say Georgia over Mississippi State 32.
Oh, I didn't even see that one. My bad.
There's 32. There's 27. Notre Dame is 24.
So it's
I
higher
mean,
than Notre Dame.
it's higher than Notre Dame at 24. Could say Boise State, Hawaii's 21. I'm looking. I don't care. I will never be able to guess if I don't look.
UAB versus Army. Army is favored by 25.5 points.
Oh, that's not even on here for me.
Yeah.
Can I get a bigger? That's not even on
I,
here for
I,
me.
I go ESPN's schedule. I go
Oh,
football schedule. I don't go by scores. It gives you the whole slate.
yeah, I'm on ESPN. I click on just the college
So
football shit.
Army's favored by 25.5 points. Crazy. I don't care if they are playing UAB.
Yeah, it's.
Um, all right.
I mean, they're playing pretty good football right now. So
Do you have a
they're.
bold prediction ready?
Go ahead with yours.
Travis Hunter has 2 interceptions and 2 total touchdowns.
Against Hawaii.
No, against Kansas State.
Oh, I'm looking at fucking Boise State. I'm an idiot. Against Kansas State.
He's only got 2 interceptions on the season, by the way.
Yeah, and Avery's only thrown 4, so it's not terrible at all. I'll give it 4 stars. 4.5. 4.5. 4.5.
Just half a point. Half a point.
Yeah, just because it's Kansas State, Colorado. That's not like a. And Travis Hunter's a
He is, but
Heisman
it's
finalist.
the 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he's the number 1 target on offense. That don't surprise me.
It's a total touchdowns.
I mean,
He's
it
gonna
don't
get a pick
surprise me at all.
six, okay?
Against Kansas State, probably. Uh, for my bold prediction, bold prediction. I'm gonna go with the Heisman here. Okay.
Better be really bold because
That's why I'm looking. He's got 16 total touchdowns.
16 rushing touchdowns. He's got 0 rushing or receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, 16 total touchdowns. It don't matter. 16 total. Anyways, I want a specific 3-3-4,
3-3-4.
3-6. Damn. Okay, so he's damn. He had 6 touchdowns versus Georgia Southern. They're
Bro,
playing
he's
Hawaii.
averaging a touchdown a quarter because he's only played 16 quarters. 3.1 per game. And that's not without playing 2 second halves. I
What is
would
his
not be
rushing yards?
surprised if he's sitting after
All
the
right.
first quarter of the Hawaii game.
I don't think he should. I think they should play him all the way. I think he gets 7 touchdowns, 300 yards. He has not hit 300 yards yet. I think he'll have a 300-yard game.
Is that total or just rushing?
Total.
For both?
Yeah. 7 touchdowns, 300 yards. And I say it's total, but it's going to come rushing. They don't throw him the ball. They don't need to.
He's got what, 6 catches for 19 yards?
Yeah, they don't need to. They don't he probably could be a receiving back, but let's be honest. I'm not going to call him a power back because he's got speed. He's just a powerhouse.
There you go.
He's
There you
a
go.
he's a
He's Derrick
utility.
Henry.
Yeah, he's a
Mark
utility
Ingram.
back. He is a
No,
utility back because he can
no,
do both. But
he's an old school every down back is what he
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I, probably a 4.5. Why he's not very good, and he's shown that he's capable of doing that. If he plays the whole game, I think he gets it.
I said, shoot. I think I want to know what happened. Well, Georgia Southern put up, or did I say Georgia Southern?
Northern
Yeah,
Southern was their first game of the season. They did not play that well.
It was his. Yeah, I was gonna say it was his closest one to 300, but that was a 56-45 game.
Yeah. So here's the thing. They're probably up 30, 40 points against Hawaii at halftime. Especially if he's going off. He's not playing the second half. Because they have undoubtedly decided We played Oregon to the last second of the game. If we win out, we're in the playoffs, and we need this guy. So
Yeah.
they're gonna bench him a lot, and that's why I'm probably going 4.5 because it's doable. I just don't think he plays the whole game.
I think you should solidify your Heisman this week
He tricks
because
us all and goes for 500 yards, 10 touchdowns.
I can't change my prediction for the bet. But man, I wish I could have. I wish I could. Because if this guy don't win the Heisman, this shit's rigged. Unless he just has a major fall off the rest of the season. But I don't see that happening.
In injury withstanding. The
Yeah.
only person I think that like Cam Ward, if undefeated Miami, maybe. But like Milrow, if Alabama loses another game or two, out. But Travis Hunter, if he can get 6 picks and 12 plus receiving touchdowns, and he has a chance.
So, do they use the playoffs, or is it determined before then?
I think it's determined before then. I think the
That's
championship
fair.
weekend does. I think
Yeah,
championship weekend does. But
that's fair, I
like I
guess,
said, the
because
last running
yeah,
back to win a Heisman was Derrick Henry, including playoff games, 2,219 rushing yards, 28 total touchdowns, 11 receptions for 91 yards, and no touchdowns.
that was in 1 year, his Heisman year.
That's including playoffs.
But that's his Heisman year.
That's his Heisman year. That is the last Heisman winner as a running back.
He's. Let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back.
He's halfway there
Yeah, I was gonna say he's pretty
on
close.
all of it. He
So wait,
yes,
what was the yards?
2,219,
Okay, so 2,200 at how many carries?
395.
Okay, how many total touchdowns?
28.
Shoot, he'll hit
How many rush?
28. He
How many carries does he have?
95.
He only has
What
95 carries on the season.
95 carries,
He has
31 yards.
he has 95 carries.
Yep.
He's averaging 10 plus yards a carry. Man,
Yep.
I'm gonna have to wear OU gear, aren't I?
This man is
No, that's
halfway
not
to Henry's. He's halfway to Henry's and least. I know sometimes you don't really want to look at the carries because the yards is what
carries.
matters,
Carries
but
matter. Carries matter because he's getting 5.6 yards a carry.
yeah, I mean they do matter, but at the same time, usually it about evens out. I don't think
But
this is going to
here's the
even
thing.
out. I think
Here's the
carries is
thing.
going to play a big thing in this.
Here is the thing. He is playing a G5 schedule, except for he's proven he can do it against the number 3 team in the nation with 25 carries, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Oregon. Hold on, wait a second. Let's see what Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson do this weekend against them. If they shut them down and they don't look as good as he did against them, he's won the Heisman. I don't
Yeah,
care who he's played.
that'll be huge. That'll
Now,
be huge.
if both running backs at Ohio State, who are studs, go for 100 plus yards, I might be like, okay, so maybe Oregon doesn't have a great rushing defense, but they're still one of the top 5 teams in the nation.
Now, I don't think they'll both go for 100 yards.
I could see them both going for 100 yards, and almost, in my opinion, they probably both need to almost come eclipse to 100 yards, or two receivers need to go 100 plus yards.
Yeah.
But I think we're over an hour, so I'm
No,
tired. Got work in the morning.
we haven't even hit an hour yet.
Oh,
But
we haven't.
no, we're at 59. But yes, with
Sorry.
that being said, definitely games to watch. Colorado, Kansas State, Iowa State, West Virginia. I would say Ole Miss, LSU. I think it'll be a decent game. Ohio State, Oregon,
And OU
Oklahoma,
Texas. You
Texas.
don't have to watch anything else this weekend except for OU Texas and Oregon Ohio State. You'll get your great. Oh well, Alabama South Carolina is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm just
Hopefully.
talking. If you want to see non-ranks take out ranks, your best looking at West Virginia and Colorado. Those are two teams that can take out ranked teams.
I don't want to see Iowa State. I would. If I'm not gonna root for Ohio State, I do like Iowa State.
East like states. You're just a
I,
stater.
I just remember being in Norman watching Iowa State beat OU, and I was like, "This is it. This is the team. They're
Is
great."
that Brock Purdy's year?
I think it was his first year playing. Honestly,
That was a good freaking team.
I think was that the same year Ohio State lost to OU? I think it was.
What year? Give me the year.
I can't remember if I just graduated high school or if I was a senior. So like 2015, 2016, something like that. 2017.
Yes.
At latest 2018.
Yeah. 2018 is when I
Oh,
graduated, but Baker had already done.
Baker things.
Yeah, Baker had already done the Baker thing, and I was in high school, so it wasn't 2018. It was 2016, 2017, something like that.
So I can't remember, but I
But yeah,
remember
that was a good team.
rooting for Iowa State because of something with Ohio State. So,
That Iowa State team was a good freaking team.
and like I said, they're good about every 3 to 4 years. They're a very developmental college.
I think that was the first year OU missed the playoffs too.
So probably 2017 because I think that was the year you missed.
Because that was when OU wasn't doing good in the playoffs, but they were making the playoffs every year, and then they missed it.
Was that Kyler's first year as like a sophomore or something? Or was there somebody
No,
between Baker?
Kyler was drafted.
Are we still live?
Yes,
This is a great outro.
this is a great outro. It's just talking sports, you know what I mean? A good way to add it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it there. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're gonna be up on YouTube at Booth Review. Be sure to like, comment, and give us a little follow and subscribe. Anything you would like to see in the show, leave a comment, and we'll see what we can do to make it happen.
I'm good about that one. I'm good about that
We're
one. We're
here
gonna
for
get
your
11
sports
views.
enjoyment.
11
Yeah.
views. Let's go.
No. We're here for your enjoyment. We're bringing you sports, and we're gonna end it here. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in and week out. We'll come at you with the latest on Sunday and let you know how these rivalries went.
Sometimes
Thank you from me. Thank you from Joe. We're the Booth. That was the review.